Do you know what your home is worth right now? Most people don't. And that's a problem because whether you're refinancing, planning to sell, or you're just trying to understand your financial picture a little bit better, that number matters more than you think. So today I'm going to cover 4 ways that you can determine your home value. The first way of determining your home's value is the way that most people sort of intuitively think of, and that is getting an appraisal. This is the most formal pathway. So an appraisal is a very detailed professional assessment of your property's value. These are done by licensed appraisers in Ontario, and it's a process that banks, lenders, credit unions, they all rely on. When you are looking at getting a mortgage or refinancing, the bank will almost always require an appraisal because they need a sound, defensible number to make sure that their loan to you is a safe investment. And they also want to make sure you haven't paid too much for the house. So the appraiser comes to your house, they measure everything, they take photos, they document all the features, they compare your property to a handful of others in hopefully the close neighborhood. And they then create a very comprehensive, detailed report that provides a very specific valuation number on your property. Okay, that all sounds great. However, an appraisal is for financing. This is not a number to use for pricing your home on the open market. It's a snapshot in time based on a very strict set of rules. Most often, you will have to pay the appraisal company when a bank is ordering an appraisal for you. And then once the appraisal is done, even though you're the one that paid the $500 or $600 for that service, you don't get to know the result. You don't get to know your home value, and you most certainly don't get a copy of the report. In fact, your mortgage broker or mortgage advisor is not even permitted to tell you what's in it. So an appraisal is a super great tool for banks and for lenders and for mortgage companies. This is how they make their risk assessment. The problem with this method is that it's not giving the homeowner that information. It's just giving that information to the bank. The second way to get a handle on your home's value is something you can start doing anytime you like, which is just start watching the market. There's plenty of online platforms you can go to that will offer you some degree of information on sold data, not listed price, not what the sticker price is, but what it was actually sold for. That is available to you to some extent as a homeowner. But this is a very important rule. You need to look at what the sold price is, not the listed price. What a home is listed for on the open market is just a starting point. What you want to do is pay close attention to properties that are similar to yours in as many ways as possible and as geographically close to you as possible. So what you're trying to determine is how your home stacks up against the properties that are nearest to you that have sold recently. And the reason it's important that they're near or geographically close to you is because most of those homes were built as a development at the same time. Typically, there's a handful of builder models and they just repeat through the neighborhood. So how does your home stack up? Does it have a newer kitchen? Do you have a finished basement? Do you have a nice space in the backyard? So by watching what the sold prices are, it's going to kind of give you a feel for what buyers are paying for properties in your area. It's not going to be precise because there's going to be a lot of things about your house that are different, of course, but it will give you a very approximate range. So now you have a rough idea. Now, of course, as a homeowner, there will be limits to this because you don't have access to all of the what we call gated information that a licensed realtor or broker has. But if all you want to do is get an idea, then most of that information you can find online. Now, the third method people use to try to determine their home's value is they request a home evaluation. You can initiate that request online. You can call up your realtor from your last transaction and ask them to do it for you. This works best if you're planning on selling in the next 1 to 3 months. And the reason for that is because if you're planning on selling longer than that, 3 to 6 months or longer, the market may have shifted by then and that could impact the number. So if you want a number that's valid basically for today and the next 90 days, I would say it's great to invite your realtor in if you plan to sell your property, and they will spend the 2 to 4 hours doing the research and preparing that full evaluation for you. Now, this is where people get confused. What's the difference between an appraisal and a home evaluation? So as we talked about, an appraisal is a formal service that is provided to banks and to mortgage brokers on behalf of banks and lenders, designed to determine the lender's risk in giving you that loan. The home evaluation, also known as a comparative market analysis, is something that a real estate agent or or broker like me would provide to a homeowner that's considering selling, particularly selling in the next 1 to 3 months. So the goal of a home evaluation is different from an appraisal. The home evaluation is designed to give you market value. In other words, what your home would sell for if you listed it today in the market. That number is important not just so that you can do your calculations as a home seller, but we also need that information so that we know how to strategize and create the right listing price for you so that when you show up on realtor.ca, your house is perceived as an incredibly good value. So when I'm doing a home evaluation for one of my seller clients, we do look at some of the same information. We're going to look at the sold data of properties similar to yours in your close neighborhood. So while the appraisal is about identifying a specific number to help a lender manage their risk, the home evaluation is about strategic pricing. So with a home evaluation, I would come to your house, we walk around, we go through each of the rooms, you point out any updates or renovations that you've made. I make note of where I think the buyer value is in your property. I go back, I spend 2, 3, 4 hours researching the comparable solds in the area, and from that information, generate a report that will give you a range. In my case, I typically will show a low, medium, and high price point that we're aiming for. The other thing, of course, that I'll do is I'll help you identify some inexpensive fixes that you can do to the property before you list it so that we're maximizing the value and we're really highlighting the super special features of your house. And now for the bonus method number 4, which is one I'm really excited about. What if you're not planning to sell, but you still want to know what your home's value is? You're not looking to sell tomorrow, so a typical home evaluation isn't the right fit. This is where I can offer you a detailed home value report. It's a service that I provide for homeowners that know they don't plan to sell. So when would this kind of detailed home evaluation report, when might this be useful? For example, you might want to find out, can I get a home equity line of credit? What percentage of equity do I have in my home? Knowing your home's value is also useful if you have an estate situation. One example is if a relative has passed away and you're managing the estate. For tax purposes, you will need to know what that home is worth in today's market. Another estate situation is if you're doing estate planning and you want to know what your home is worth now so that you can include that information when your lawyer is doing your documents for you. Even general financial planning, if you want to understand your net worth. If selling your house is not the end game and you need to know that value for other reasons, this is something that I've developed that I can help clients with now. Here's an example of what the 2 reports that I've developed look like. If you'd like me to send you the link so you can look at these in more detail, including a full sample report, just comment link below and I will send you that information. So to recap, we have the 4 ways that you can understand your home's value. Number 1 is clearly an appraisal, but that doesn't help you as a homeowner. Number 2, you can watch the market. Number 3, you can get a home evaluation from your realtor if you plan to sell. And of course, number 4, the bonus, which is these new reports that I've developed specifically to speak to, I don't plan to sell, but I still need to know my home's value. Knowing how much your property is worth is really critical. You want to have the right information to make the best decisions for you and your family. Most of the people that I work with have most of their money tied up in their property, so that makes that number really important. Now, of course, I will close in saying that if you do need a home evaluation because you plan to sell, I'm more than happy to come to your house and provide that for you. Again, completely complimentary. If you found this video helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, share, and hit those post notifications. That really helps my channel. Thanks again for watching and see you next time.